Good evening, Board. My name is Charles Neal, 2312 Rio Verde Drive, Riverbank, California. 50-plus years residence. What I want to speak to you tonight about is something that in my business schedule, I guess, it slipped by. At your last meeting, you had the Galaxy Theater, and you increased the size of the container to an unlimited size of a container. I certainly hope and pray that this never comes back to really grab a hold of you and shake you real hard. I hope and pray that nothing ever happens up there. But of course, unless it happens pretty soon, none of you guys will probably be here on this commission making decisions. And the thing of it is, I don't know if you know it or not, but I know Planning Commission Stewart is fully aware of the fact of it is that one glass of wine for a 120-pound lady in 2 hours, it still puts her in a category, as far as the state of California is concerned, as being impaired to drive. Like I said, you have kids that attend that. There are kids running in and out all the time. If you go down there to a movie, you'll see that. People are backing their cars up, pulling up, you know. It's not directly driving out. And anytime you have that kind of a congested area, especially with kids, and you just open it up for, I don't know, I guess 64-ounce glasses they have at some of these soda fountains, so I guess that's what they'll have, and they have them up there too. So I guess that's probably what they'll be using if people so desires. And I think it's a huge mistake. I think, in my opinion, it was a mistake for you to approve it to begin with. But then, after you did, and then there had been a couple of incidents up there, you still went ahead and increased the volume and the size that they can consume. I would look at it and say that it would almost take a person that, in my opinion, has a real drinking problem if he has to go to the movie and buy popcorn and drink beer, or go to the movie and buy popcorn and drink wine. You know, that's my opinion. I know it's a lot of plays that they go to that, you know, afterwards, but that's entirely different. It's not a movie that you go to. And it's not some place that has a lot of kids running in and out. I just, like I said, I think that you guys make decisions based on what you think is right for the city of Riverbank. But I certainly hope that the vast majority of the people in Riverbank don't feel the same way. And you know, you have the right to ask for the amount of sales as far as the meals are concerned there, and the meals have to outweigh the alcohol. Now, they're not talking about the popcorn and candy that you buy over on this side. They're talking about the meals that's served in a restaurant-type facility is a type of license they have. I don't see that when I go in there as being a restaurant-type facility. I think they serve hot dogs, pizza, and popcorn. That, to me, is not a restaurant facility. You have the right to ask for the sales receipts from the food that's served there, not the popcorn and not the sodas and candy on the other side, but what's served in that restaurant-type facility. And I'd like to see you stand up and ask for it, you know. I know you've heard about the great vast amount of money that that theater is bringing into this community. If that's the case, where's it at? You know, all I see is a lot of giving away of systems development fees and waiving these fees and waiving those fees. I don't see, and if that theater is bringing so much, they say that their goal is $10 million this year, and that you're going to benefit from all of this taxes and all this other stuff that comes in. Well, show me where it's at. Show me the numbers. Don't just try to tell me, because if that's the case, why is it that the city of Riverbank, if you look at their budget and look at their prospective years, in a couple of years, they'll be broke. The city will. And you know, they're jacking up the sewer and water rates to all the residents in the city of Riverbank. If we get so much money in here, why do we have to do that?
So, Mr. Neal.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone else with public comments? Anyone else with public comments? Then we're going to close the public comments and move on to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are to be acted upon by a single action of the Planning Commission unless otherwise requested by an individual Planning Commissioner for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by roll call vote. Item 2A, posting of the agenda. Item 2B, approval of the agenda. Item 2C, approval of the minutes. Members? Move for approval.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote, please. Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
And Commissioner Vaudois?
Yes.
We'll be moving over to number 3, public hearing. And I'd like to open the public hearing and move to Donna for an explanation of item 3.1, please. KB Home, Central Valley, Inc., and Cornerstone at Crossroads, variance 01, 2015.
Good evening, Commissioners. As you state, it is KB Home Central Valley, Inc., Cornerstone at Crossroads, variance 2001-2015, to decrease a setback on Lot 99 from 4 feet to 3 feet. The project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to Section 15315 of the state CEQA guidelines related to minor land divisions. Property is located at 5705 Cornerstone Drive, APN 075-099-051, and is zone plan development. As I mentioned, the variance proposal is to decrease the setback on Lot 99 from 4 feet to 3 feet. And we have a map on the next. Having some technical difficulties over here, excuse us. Okay, here's a copy of the site plan. You can see at the top, well, this is Lot 99, and it has a lot on either side of it, and then backing up to it is Lot 96, which you can see at the top there. And there's our 3-foot variance, which should be a 4-foot variance. When these building permits came in, I believe they brought a batch of 10 of them, and that, unfortunately, that setback was overlooked by staff. We did not catch that. Okay, pursuant to Riverbank Municipal Code, Section 153.217A, the Planning Commission shall make the following findings of fact in approving a variance. 1, because of the special circumstances applicable to the property size, including shape, topography, location, or surroundings, the strict application of the zoning ordinance deprives the subject property of privileges enjoyed by other properties in the vicinity and under identical zoning classifications. So Lot 99 is situated in the middle of the block. It is surrounded by lots 95, 96, 97, 98, and 100, which are currently under construction. Therefore, it is not possible at this time to do a lot line adjustment once we caught the mistake without causing adjacent Lot 96 to become unconforming. So when we've had a problem in the past with this subdivision, we were able to do a lot line adjustment and just move that property line. But because there are houses around it already under construction, that's not possible at this time. 2, the granting of the application is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property rights of the petitioner and will not constitute a grant of special privilege. Without the approved variance, KB Home would have needed to design a new floor plan that would fit on this lot, incurring additional expenses and the delayed construction and habitation of 5 other homes. 3, the granting of such application will not, under the circumstances of the particular case, materially affect adversely the health or safety of persons residing or working in the neighborhood of the property of the applicant, and will not, under the circumstances of this particular case, be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to property or improvements in the neighborhood. And going through the plans, KB did have call out a detail that showed if there was a roof projection within a setback less than 3 feet from a property line, they would use a 1-hour rated assembly on the underside of the roof projection as a fire safety feature. So if this variance is approved and they are allowed to be at 3 feet, that roof projection will be in the setback, and they will use this fire rated assembly for additional safety feature. As I mentioned, this is categorically exempt under minor alterations and land use limitations, which includes lot line adjustment, side yard, setback variances, not resulting in the creation of any new parcel. As I mentioned before, the problem with the variance was going to hold up the construction of 5 houses that were started, and these have already been sold and have gone on the market. And so staff did work with the city attorney's office to draft an acknowledgement and a release agreement that would allow them to move forward and get these houses constructed for the buyers while we went through this process. So our recommendation is to approve the variance to decrease the setback from 4 feet to 3 feet based upon the findings that we just went over. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and then we also have one of the project engineers in the audience tonight.
I have a question. So since this was noticed, was there any other lot in this development that had any issues? Did you fine-tooth comb everything else then?
As I mentioned, in the recent past, there were, I think, at least one property that needed a lot line adjustment that could be done at the staff level, but did not need a variance. And since I've been on staff, this is the only problem that has popped up.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
I had a question also. The adjoining lot, I believe it's lot number 96. I just wonder if that has been considered also, because rather than having an 8-foot separation between the homes, between those 2 homes there would be, what, 7 feet? So wouldn't that also affect lot number 96?
That's why there's the, they called out the fire rated assembly for that roof.
They're only going to do that to the structure that's going to be on
Right
lot
here?
90.
Let's see, let's move our,
So they'll only do the additional fire protection
can
on
you hear now?
It's on. Is that better now?
Is that better?
Okay.
Can you hear?
So they're only
Okay.
going to do the additional fire protection on the home that's going to be constructed on lot 99, but not on lot 96?
That is my understanding, but we could ask the engineer as to what their policy is on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So how does that affect the aesthetics of the neighborhood?
Well, this is the rear of the homes, so from the public right-of-way, you should not see a difference.
This is the rear of the homes.
Yes, it's two homes that back up to each other.
So as far as the neighborhood, that's going to be an odd-looking size. If we're given a variance for, looks like a foot.
Right. The house would sit back 1 foot farther than the houses adjacent to it.
And that first time that this happened, as far as the setback thing, was it sort of the same reason or same issue, or is this a different one?
This is a different lot, a different
No, I
issue.
mean, as far as the setback, where you could have did it at administrative level, but now, because you had it again, it has to go to another level. So were they the same particular type of incidents, or did this one go so far that you could not handle it at the administrative level?
Well, to be honest, I wasn't here for that lot line adjustment, but there must have been a setback issue, and they were able to adjust both lots, so that a variance was not necessary. In this case, both staff and the developer missed it, and the permit was issued, and the developer called it to our attention. So we discussed for a couple of weeks to see if a lot line adjustment could be done, and there was no way to do it. And so we moved on to the variance.
I take it Lot 96 has been, these are lots that have been sold?
That's my understanding, yes.
So the buyer of Lot 99 is aware of this situation as well?
But that I do not know. I have not spoken with them.
Were they noticed for this meeting, do you know?
This might be another question for the applicant's representative.
Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, then we'll open up the public hearing. And is there anyone here to speak to item 3.1, the KB Home Central Valley, Inc. Cornerstone at Crossroads variance? Hello?
Good evening, Chairman. My name is Chris Vieira. I'm the applicant's engineer on the project. A couple of points, and I'll try to address some of the questions that you had. But before I do that, I just want to identify that the development plan was submitted to the city showing, as was mentioned, the side yard setback, and I'll use it, 4, 4, and 4. 4 side, 4 rear, 4 side. This one was 4 side, 3 rear, 4 side. The development plan was submitted to the city and was approved. Subsequently, the building permit was requested and approved and submitted to the applicant. The reason that we're back here today is there was some turnover at KB Homes. There was some questions that came up. They inquired about it. So the reason that we're here was because the city had approved this and they moved forward with it. Now, your question about the applicants or the purchasers of the homes. KB will, those homes are under construction. KB will make sure that in the disclosure statements that those property owners have, it will indicate that there is a foot, which is this difference from where the wall will be as to opposed to where it would have been. So that will be disclosed to them. I think your question about a change of the look of that, again, it's in the rear yard. All the front facades that everyone sees as they drive by will not look any different. It'll just be in the rear. The home will be 1 foot back further than it normally would be. Or excuse me, the fence would be a little closer than it normally would be. At this point, we would ask for your approval of the variance, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Questions, commissioners?
I would like to know about the fire rating on the 2 houses. You're going to put additional fire protection on the one home. I'm not quite sure just how close those 2 roof lines would be.
Sure. I can't answer that question because I don't know specifically 100% what KB will do. I will tell them when I communicate back to them that was a question and see. I believe it currently, the way that I don't know if it's your ordinance or your resolution indicates that anything that goes over the 4 feet would require a fire rating. So I think under that technical guidance, it's really only the home that protrudes past the 4, but I will ask them if that would be something that they would consider.
So it is only that home that protrudes past the 4, is that what you're saying?
Well, I can't say that that's what they're doing. They may be doing it for both, for both, and I will ask if they would do that, but I think the way that it's written, it doesn't say that they have to do it for 4. It says that anything that goes beyond or reduces the setback would require that it be fire rated, so.
So we could
As you stated, these were plans that were submitted some time ago.
Yeah, the development plan, again, don't hold me to this, but it may have been a year or so, more.
But they were approved with this dimensions, this
That-
setup already.
that is correct.
And again, just
And then-
revisiting based on change occurred, these surfaced again and it got brought to the table again.
Yes, so it was submitted, the development plan was approved with the 434.
So they were aware of those numbers on each
The
side.
city was aware of those numbers. Well, I mean, it may have been a mistake, but from the developer side, they submitted
It
it
was
that
accepted,
way.
yeah.
And then they further went in, pulled the building permit, and in essence, had they not had the question, you wouldn't be talking about
Right.
it. So they asked the question because, again, they had some turnover of staff, and as they were going through their files, they just wanted to make sure that it was okay.
So, yeah.
We told them that it had been approved, but we were still required to come through this variance process. That's why we're here.
So KB knew that they were going to build in this dimension with the 3 foot in the back?
Well, they had gotten approval to build that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
How many homes are on that track?
oh gosh,
Say 115.
yeah.
Okay, so if I'm looking down the backyards, am I gonna see one that's gonna go like this?
You're going to see one that would be
Slightly.
back 1 foot more than
Thought
the
it
other.
was kinda odd if you.
Well,
in
it
the
depends
aerial
upon
view.
how you look at it. On one hand, I could argue that I don't want 100 homes all in a row because it looks too cookie cutter, but again, I didn't approve that. So some variance in home, configurations is not a bad thing.
If I might, the actual fence itself will be straight. You won't notice anything about the fence itself. That'll be straight between the properties.
Right.
All right, that makes sense.
True. The different models that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other question?
Any other questions, commissioners? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak to item 3.1? Okay. Seeing none, then we'll close the public hearing on item 3.1. Commissioners, do you have any other questions for planning or staff?
Not here.
Not here?
I think I have a question for staff, is that, since this has happened twice, I think it's something that, probably should put a little bit more, some kind of, policing mechanisms in place, because I'm sure this is not just a paper, it does cost, it costs dollars for this particular type of correction. But what I'm saying is, because I think we've mentioned earlier that it happened one other time.
The reason why we caught it the first time and we corrected it in the office. So they had submitted it, we noticed it was not correct. They just had to resubmit a new, they had to go through the process because the final map was approved this when we caught it that time. But this one didn't get caught, so
Yeah, so
we did catch it on the last one when they submitted it.
So maybe there was a step missed the second time?
Well, the actual development plan that he was talking about that showed the 434 came through Planning Commission and City Council, so everybody missed it.
Okay. And the only reason it came up is because of change of hands and Someone
And
had some
reviewing the
fresh
building
eyes
permit,
on it.
yes.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Catch.
Okay, commissioners?
I have no
Any
further
other questions? No? Okay.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Riverbank, finding of the recommending of the City Council approval for the variance number 01-2015 for the KB Home Central Valley Incorporated.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote, please.
Chair Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
and Commissioner Villepatois.
Yes.
Approved 4-0.
Okay, moving now to item 3.2, Nana Farkai, Stanislaus Cheese modification to architectural and site plan review, application number 022015. Donna?
This is a request for a modification to the architectural site plan review approval of additions and tenant improvements to an existing milk and cheese processing facility, including a small retail area. The proposed modification, which is a phasing of the improvements, is subject to approval by the Planning Commission pursuant to Section 153.124G of the Riverbank Municipal Code. Thank you. Okay, I just read that part, so we'll go past that. Okay, here was the approved site plan that you saw, I believe it was just last month.
Last month.
And in it you can see, this is the retail area, this is Santa Fe. This is the retail area in front, and this is a proposed addition of 600 square feet that would hold an ager and a smoker. Then there was to be landscaping pots out here, sidewalk, and a parking space with handicap access to the building. So this phase one that was submitted to the planning department as part of the phasing now shows a chain link fence along the front of the building with the ager and the smoker in front of the building, and your landscaping pots, and then there would be some sidewalk and the street with the parking. Here is what the existing elevation looks like, and I actually contacted them and thanked them for cleaning up the weeds and cleaning up the building before our Wine and Cheese Festival. I called them on it, and they were out there right away doing that. Okay, here's the approved elevation with the retail area in front and the 600 square foot addition. And this was their proposed phase one that shows the overhang has been removed and the two pieces of machinery with a slatted chain link fence across the front of the building. And they were proposing that the handicap accessibility parking space and path of travel be put off to the second phase. The municipal code requires the Planning Commission find the project consistent with the city's general plan. After reviewing the general plan, policy design 10.8, the city will require ground floor facade treatments and activities that generate pedestrian interest and comfort. Similarly, in the downtown specific plan general principles, buildings should appear welcoming and support pedestrians through attractive facade design. Since staff was recommending that this project be denied because it was inconsistent with the general plan and downtown specific plan, CEQA does not apply to projects that are denied. Our recommendation was to deny the modification of the architecture and site plan review approval of September 15, 2015, based upon the proposal's inconsistency with the general plan. Since this staff report was drafted, the applicant has submitted new information. They submitted this new site plan, and I did not have time to get it into the report. It came in after the report went out to you. This shows the the site plan with the overhangs as before. And then out front, the fence is smaller. It doesn't extend past the edge of the building like it was showing in the previous slides. And they are proposing a wooden fence instead of chain link and slatted fence, which is prohibited in the downtown specific plan. But we do have these two pieces of equipment that I'm told are self-contained, that the rain won't bother them. I was also told, oh, and before I forget, they also decided that all the ADA improvements they were going to put in the second phase, they would move up to the first phase.
Okay.
I did ask for cut sheets or information that this ager and the smoker would not have noise or odor issues. I have not received those sheets or information yet, but I was told by Mr. Farkey that this ager is a small refrigerated unit where the cheese sits and ages. So our concern would be that there might be some noise issues with that piece of equipment, but without the cut sheet, I don't really know.
So this is taking President in phase one. This is phase one.
Yes, this would be phase one. Whoops, hit the wrong button. And then this second piece of equipment here is the smoker. And I'm told that they use an liquid smoke and that the temperature has to be fairly low so the cheese doesn't melt. But whether or not it does present an odor, I don't have that information, except I was told it doesn't. Here is a revised facade for phase one. It does show the smaller fence with a doorway there and the landscaping. And as I mentioned, they agreed to move the ADA compliance issues to the first phase, so that would be done. And then in the second phase, you would get the same elevation that was approved at last month's meeting. And I would be happy to answer any questions, and Mr. Farkey and his engineer are here today.
Quick question on that fencing. Could you go back to that slide? Right there. Was that this fencing, this is a wood fence, correct?
This right, whoops, I'm sorry, wrong
Would
button.
be a wood fence.
This right here would be a wooden fence.
Which would it be higher than the chain link? It appears to be a little taller. It is, okay. So it gives you coverage.
Oh, I see, screening
Screening,
for
yeah.
the equipment.
Yeah, to kind of have that view.
Correct.
Versus a chain link fence with,
With
So
slats.
it completely hides
Yeah.
the equipment that's behind the fence?
I'm unsure as to how tall the equipment is. As I mentioned, I didn't get the cut sheets on that. But if they are making it larger, I'm presuming that they're doing it to screen the equipment.
Screen.
Any other questions, commissioners, for staff?
Is the retail section included in phase one?
No. It would be put off to phase two. The phase two would, it would give us this retail center here, and then it would extend this building around the two pieces of installed equipment.
fully encompassed. I mean,
Correct. It would be a fully encompassed building in phase two. And they propose, I believe, pulling building permits for this in January of 2017.
What is, I guess, the city's take on this? Because I've seen buildings in the area that do have a lot of chain link fences and construction progress, and some are very stagnant, have been there for a while.
Correct. Well, chain link fence is prohibited in the downtown specific plan, so as we come across projects that do have existing fences that want to do additions or some sort of other work, we will require that they be removed.
So at this time, they're kind of like grandfathered in until there's some changes being made in permits.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions, commissioners?
And again, the staff denying this is based on the,
Inconsistency with the general plan in that the facade should be welcoming and pedestrian-oriented, and, let's see,
that's the one right there.
any here, whoops. One more. Oh, no, I guess I went too far, I'm sorry.
Or in.
Here we go. This is the elevation that I had when I determined that it
decision.
was inconsistent with the general plan.
Got you. Right.
If you pulled up in front and wanted to say, go in to ask for a job application, there's no door, there's no entrance. There wouldn't have been any ADA path of travel from a parking space, which they're willing to do in Phase 1 now,
That was based on, that's the decision based on this.
based
notice.
based
Yeah.
on this facade, correct.
Okay.
And then, and now there's new information that you've considered.
Well, the new information is the fence has changed, and the ADA is,
There's a door.
right, there's a door
Shown.
that's more welcoming
Okay.
now. But we still have some concerns with whether or not the units will have any noise or odor. And I did receive a phone call from an interested citizen who had some concerns about graffiti on this fence.
The
That it could be a
wooden
target for
fence.
graffiti, correct. Could be, but the chain
That's-
link could also be a target
that's any
for
wall.
graffiti. Correct.
It has
Any
the,
wall.
it had the slats, which
Yes.
is a wooden slat. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any other questions for staff, commissioners?
Not for me.
No.
Okay, I'd like to open up the public hearing for anyone who would like to speak for or against item 3.2, the Stanislaus cheese modification.
Good afternoon. My name is Jose Perez. I'm the architect on this project. And to begin with, thank you very much for the approval last month. But when we've aggressively been trying to get this project going, and when we got the approval and started getting numbers back on what this would cost to put this together with the retail store and the addition and all the other off-site improvements, including the interior, we became aware that this was far exceeded what we had budgeted. And all we're asking at this point is we'll do whatever we can to clean this up for 1 year, get us operational so we can get some revenue in, so make it just an easier, I don't know, step process in building the second phase. In a nutshell, yeah, when we first initially submitted for the phasing, you know, I was unaware of the chain link fence not being permitted, and then when we studied a little longer, that's when I changed the elevation to have the wood fence that will surpass the equipment that is enclosed, and we also just shortened it so we'd have that door that comes out from the building as at this time. So.
Okay.
So if you hadn't had the chain link fence requirement, everything else would have been okay?
Pardon me?
If you had, you said because of the chain link
Well-
fence, it caused you to have some setbacks and reevaluate what you were doing and found out you were over
No,
budget.
I think we were looking at the full, when we were going to look at the whole retail addition, including the addition to the processing side of it, that's when we looked, and we got numbers back to build that and to do all the improvements that we'd have to do out there. We realized that that exceeded the budget that we were looking as to doing for these improvements. So we just want to get this place operational, get some cheese made and sell it, and get some money coming in just for a year. But
So, just, again, thank you for taking us. I'm Nana Farki, and actually I'm a partner in this project. And so, as Jose said, when we looked at the numbers, it was just becoming too prohibitive to do it. So we wanted to take it in phases, get some cash flow, and then be able to finish it. Essentially, that's what it is.
Okay. Any questions for
You-
Mr.
I'm sure that we asked this last time, but how many people will you be employing there?
6 to 8 at the most. I mean, this is really going to be a small business.
Okay, you asking for, you want the approval in the anticipation that you're going to meet city requirements. That's what you're asking?
We are asking for initial approval to meet the city requirements, but we'll do the full, we'll meet the full requirements by the second year or so. So the first phase still meets city requirements. It's just that it's not the way we would want to do it. You see, had we have plenty of money, yeah, there would be no problem. But
Again, in phases.
that's right, we'll do it in
So
phases.
is this the new plan, or is this is not the new plan that you have envisioned that we're looking at?
What you see there right now would be the finished
All right.
plan.
Here would be Phase 1, and it would look like this for a year. Oops. And then Phase 2 would look like what you approved last month.
So what kind of time frame we're looking at?
We're looking at pulling building permits January of 17. That's what we said. So we'll have a full year to at least get the plan operational.
What is the time frame for the second phase?
I'm hoping that it'll also be done within that year.
On your ager and your smoker, I don't know if it was just the rendering, the drawings. Did they change in size? The
No, they did not
agent
change.
ager got bigger and the smoker got smaller?
No, these are fixed. Okay, the aging room is essentially, I believe, an 8 by 10 box.
The agent is 8 by 10?
Yeah, it's about 8 by 10 box refrigeration unit, a cold box that you walk in.
Okay.
Okay, the smoker, it's a stainless steel piece of equipment, which is, I mean, self-contained for smoking cheese. And as I explained to Donna, if you go above 98 degrees Fahrenheit, cheese will melt. We don't want it to melt. So it's what we call cold smoke. See,
And how big is that unit?
it's also about 8 by 10.
8 by 10.
8 by
7 by 10 and 8 by 10.
So a full year, you're not going to have any signage in front of the building?
No, we will have a sign in front of the building. I mean, we want to promote the business.
What would it look like?
It'll be Stanislaus cheese. That will be up there.
You don't have anything that we can see that, because we're going to be, our citizens are going to be looking at a blank building
They will not look, I trust me. they will
for,
not.
I mean, according to this, okay, for a year. But if that's the case, and then we're looking at the second phase to include the completion with the signage
Excuse
up
me?
there and huh?
The signage will be approved under a separate permit.
So it will go
Right,
along with the
this-
first phase.
Well, when they apply for it, I'm thinking the first phase, but it's not actually part of this approval.
The signage, if I can recall, is going to be just above the black color that you see there.
And again, you guys have now, are addressing the ADA as well
Yes,
as
we are doing that.
We'll do all the ADA
height
requirements for
with the fence
interior.
for coverage as well?
Pardon me?
In terms of also addressing with the fencing to cover the units?
That's right. We want to cover the units because the aging unit has a copper pipe that runs down the side there, and actually we've got burglaries gone and cut out those pipes already. You see, so we want to just make sure that we protect it fully. And then the smoker has controls that are above the 5 foot, so we want to just take it up so that at least we have those controls protected.
Are these units controlled from the inside of the building, or are
They will be controlled from the inside of the building.
Correct, so, okay.
Okay, we back up to the proposed elevation phase 1. Okay, so this is what we're going to see in the beginning.
That is what you're
I
going to
have
see.
some ballot printouts. I don't know if it helps, but
Oh, yeah, that would work.
We got them. We have them.
Oh, no, this is the amended one. Here's the amended one.
How many you have? 3, 4. This is just
Yeah, this
color,
one.
the same thing. Color.
Same, that's the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, it's that one, but just in color.
It has,
Oh, okay, okay. What is this? Okay, no, sir. Yeah,
Outside of that, no.
okay.
Biggest change. And as staff kind of mentioned, the omission of odors, anything from the smoker that emits,
I don't, I mean, I can look up the equipment manufacturer specs, but I don't believe that it will emit anything just because, I mean, I've used something similar at the university and I mean, I don't see that happening.
okay, now in this drawing, there, you can't see any of the equipment. And did one of you say that it was 8 feet tall?
Why?
And how tall?
Like 7 feet, 6 inches.
Okay, and what's our max allowed for fencing?
3 feet?
3 feet 4.
3 feet for a permanent front fence, and it should be,
permanent ones.
right, and it should be more like open wrought iron with designs.
So-
But that would not accomplish the purpose of screening these pieces of equipment. So this would be more like a wall than a fence at this time.
I have no questions, just, is the public hearing still open?
Any other questions for these gentlemen? Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this item, 3.2? Hello.
Hi, my name is Evelyn Halbert. I live on Topeka Street. And as you know, across the street from the Cheese Place, you've got Sonic Hall, a large parking lot, mortuary, another large open parking lot, then the church and the little house. So you've got a lot of open space there. The other cheese place that's running, they like to park their refrigeration unit out in their parking lot and leave it running sometimes all weekend. Those things are loud. And that thing's just when they backed in there. That's not, I doubt that's 8 by 10 feet. Those things are loud, very loud. This here is not going to, we're going to have a little fence around it. It's open on top. It's going to be loud. And as far as the odors, they don't even have any idea. They think maybe, there's nothing nothing in the staff report or in the report that they did with any figures or details or anything on the noise, on the odors. And the information you got tonight has not been made available to the public, and this is supposed to be a public hearing. So how are we supposed to comment on it? We don't even get a copy of it. We don't even know what these changes are. The fence, if any of you guys have driven by that skate park, you know that that's one of the biggest problems with graffiti, gang graffiti, whatever graffiti on there. Any kind of a fence out there is not going to stay. It's going to be graffiti constantly, just like the skate park is. I think, if I remember right, when you guys did the EIR with the general plan, specific plan and all that, and the noise and all that stuff, industrial was supposed to be done inside. When you had an industrial business, it was supposed to be done inside. I don't think this covered, the EIR covered them having their work, doing work outside with no protection. And I really think somebody should look at the CEQA and make sure this might not have to have another EIR because they're not following either the special plan or the general plan on that. I did some looking up on that, and if they're going to run all these equipment outside, that's a whole different ballgame than what you guys approved. Again, I strenuously object to this thing without the public being a public hearing, without the public getting notification and stuff. Question I had is, I understand from reading that they're going to be working from 4 in the morning till 9 at night. So how many trucks does that mean coming in and out? Because they've only got one little space to back it in, and it's right off the street Santa Fe. So how many trucks does that make coming in? And if they get one second truck coming in while the first one's unloading, where are they going to put it? Because that's just more noise. But for what you're looking at here tonight, they need more definite answers, more concrete figures and information, especially on the noise, the odors. If you got it open on top, you're going to get birds flying over, you're going to get dust, you're going to get everything else around there because you've got these other trucks going back and forth. And again, I repeat, this is a public hearing, and we didn't get the information you got tonight about the changes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
If I might quickly address
excuse me?
one of her comments. There was a misunderstanding on her part. The trucks will come through the alley on the side of the building and out Santa Fe, and they're smaller than the trucks that the adjacent cheese factory uses, and there will be less of them because the quantities of cheese being made are quite a bit less.
Okay, thank you very much.
Charles Neal, 2312 Rio Verde Drive, Riverbank, California. I'm here tonight speaking to this on behalf of the Riverbank Assembly of God Church, 3126 Stanislaus Street, at the direction of the board. You were given a staff report, and it said deny it. What came up here now hasn't changed a thing except maybe made it worse. I listened to it. Well, I read the staff report, and I thought, oh, there's not much need of going down. They got a staff report, and normally if you have staff and you pay staff and you accept their recommendations. Tonight I see where you guys, if you accept this, you're going to drop off in a big, dark, deep well. I mean, number one, you don't have anything that tells you what the noise is going to be, what the odor is going to be, and did you permit them to use that alley as a parking space for their trucks? Are they going to park in that alley? You know, that's a public alley. That's not a cheese company alley. And somebody needs to, the city needs to go down there and say, hey, listen, this is an alley and it has to be kept open. Maybe it'd be better if the fire department said that, there would be no trucks parked in that alley. It's not a parking lot. And trucks can't extend out in the alley and make cars, it's a 20-foot alley, and it belongs to the city of Riverbank and the citizens of Riverbank. This is just, I've done a lot of projects in my life. Been around a whole lot of them. When you first come up with a project, the first thing you do is have a budget. You know what you have. And before you come up here and give a set of plans for approval to a city to put in something like that, you should have run the numbers and realized you didn't have enough in your budget to cover it. And they're looking at, I believe I heard him say something about he's going to pull the building permit in 2017. That's over a year from now.
16.
He said 2017. We'll pull a record back and see.
2017 for the second phase.
For the second phase,
Second
correct.
phase.
Yep,
Oh, okay, he's going to pull the building permit
for the second phase.
for the second phase at 2017. That's a year. A year with something that you don't know. He hasn't provided you with any information in order for you to change the recommendation from the city to deny this. Otherwise, if you approve it, then you have violated all your ordinances, consequences, your general plan, your specific plan for the city. And also, I think you've put the city in jeopardy as far as an EIR is concerned. Because you need to take a look at that EIR that you approved for the specific plan, for the downtown specific plan, and really stop and think. What's the need of a specific plan if you don't intend to abide by it? I mean, why? The city went to an awful lot of money, expense, meetings, and it cost money. It cost the citizens of Riverbank money in order to do this specific plan. And then you have it, and the first thing it comes up, you just kind of say, well, we think that maybe that, because they're going to put in some handicap ramps and a door, that we can go along. I don't think so. I think you have to look at the whole overall picture of exactly what's going on. Staff recommended denial. As far as myself as a citizen of Riverbank and the Riverbank Assembly of God Church, we would request that you deny this, send it back, come back and meet the criteria of the general plan and specific plan. And let's not get up here and talk about letting finances make your decision. Finances has nothing to do whether the man's a millionaire or has nothing to do with the decisions that you make. You make the decisions based upon your specific plan, your general plan, and the information that staff give you. And I'd also say that, I believe that when you have a public hearing, unless it's an emergency, you've got to notify the public. And I don't think changing this was an emergency.
So thank you, Mr. Neal, for your
You're
comments.
reducing my time.
Well, no, I think you are over 5 minutes there, but thank you very much for your your comments. Is there anyone else here to speak to item 3.2?
If I may add a comment to his comments?
Yes.
Just to let you know that our Public Works Inspector does patrol the alleys for parked trucks. And I was out on the site of the Stan Cheese facility last week when our Public Works Inspector did tag 2 trucks that were parked in the alley a little bit further down. So I just thought I'd share that with you.
Okay. Okay. Are there any other comments from the public? Okay. Seeing none, we will now close the public hearing on item 3.2. Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff at this time?
I do. How long would it take to get a clarification on the EIR?
I'm sorry, a clarification concerning,
The EIR?
right,
How long would it take?
but to clarify what about the EIR?
It has been mentioned at least twice that they feel that this would be in violation of, and I believe they're citing the noise portion of the EIR. So I would like to have some sort of a definitive answer on that.
Well, we do have noise standards, but I don't know personally without cut sheets or personal experience whether or not this machinery will exceed those standards.
That was going to be the second part. I'd also like to have some hard figures on that. So is there any way that we can delay this until we have the information that we need to
And
make
the
an,
smell as well.
to make an informed decision?
You could continue this till the next meeting.
Could we have a motion to that?
So Mr. Farkey mentioned that he could work with the manufacturers to get that information for the noise and as far as the odor.
Let me ask you a quick question, though, to staff. How long has this been vacant? Do you guys know?
Longer than I've been here. I've been here 4 months. A couple of years.
Couple years. No prior tenants, applicants or anything? Correct, he was, and I know they produce a lot of noise, they produce a lot of in and out traffic and. Okay.
Maybe I should clarify as well. This, there was an approval made last month, and I believe that the CEQA determination was infill. Was that?
Correct.
So there was a CEQA determination made when this site plan and architectural review was originally presented before the commission. The current CEQA findings for the staff report are that CEQA findings don't need to be made in connection with a recommendation of a denial. If the instruction is to staff to come back with potential conditions of approval for this phasing and for a approval of this modified site plan review, then staff would make CEQA findings at that time, and there's a variety of ways of complying with CEQA that often do not require an EIR if it's determined that there aren't any significant impacts, and there are numerous CEQA exemptions and ways of complying with CEQA when you have a project that's of a limited impact to the environment. So that would be made in connection with a approval of a site plan review. So.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
we could just add that into the,
If the commission instructed staff to come back with a resolution approving this modified site plan with the appropriate conditions of approval to facilitate this phasing approach, then staff would make the appropriate CEQA would have to comply with CEQA in connection with that, with the resolution approving the modified site plan.
Can I ask a question since he's
well,
Okay.
I think the public hearing has been
public hearing,
closed.
but I just wanted to clarify something. That's
So,
that's okay, no problem. I can write you a letter.
Clarify something?
No, they don't have to let you.
I'm a resident. I got no.
so, oh, okay, excuse me, please, So, I will reopen the public hearing for a brief comment at this time.
You operate
Is
under
there anyone that is here that mentioned you wanted to speak to this?
I want to speak to the attorney trying to tell you a way to get around an EIR and a general plan. And I don't think that that's what we hired that attorney for. I think he's to give you guidance and legal information, not a way to evade a general plan or an EIR that was already made and formed and had specifications in it and a specific plan that was designed.
And that was Charles Neal speaking.
Oh, yes, Charles
Charles
Neal.
Charles Neal. Could you please state your name, please,
Evelyn
for the
Halbert.
record?
I was noticed last time, and at that time, this was an indoor operation, and it met all your secret criteria because everything was indoors. Now, all of a sudden, half of it's outdoors. That changes the whole CEQA and everything. I mean, you can't approve it and then come back and decide to put it outside and tell us that we can't do anything because you already approved it last time when you're changing the whole. That's a big change from indoors to outdoors.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to these assertions?
Yeah, this is Dr. Nanafarki, and I just want to address the comments that were just made. What I would say is that in a food code, there cannot be an outdoor operation, so that's a moot point. This is an indoor operation. What it is the two units are attached to the building, and you have to access it from inside. It's an indoor operation, so if anybody feels it's an outdoor operation, they're wrong. It's against the food code to do that. And also, we are not bringing large trucks in here. This is a small operation. If the public does not know about sheep milk operation, sheep produce a lot less milk than cows, and so we don't have 18-wheelers coming here. No, this is not that operation.
Will that be all then? Is there anyone else that would like to speak to item 3.2? Okay, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Yeah, I would like, go on.
No, I just have some comments. In thinking about this, yes, some changes have occurred. I see in terms of the concern regarding the noise, as the applicant has also stated, and from the previous meeting, that this is a very small operation, small trucks. We're looking at a 8x10, two 8x10s that will, quote, be on the outside temporarily for 1 year, as it sounds like, but with the external sheltering for visibility. It, based on the rendering, again, of what was turned in, it looks more appealing than what it currently looks like now. I'm for, to the point of just in terms of business operation, employment, opportunity, growth of our downtown Riverbank. I see that we, again, kind of touching on the noise, we've kind of addressed that with being a small unit. Parking, as was stated by staff, there is someone patrolling it. That has been also cited. I understand budgets can change, and they will change, and I see this on a day-to-day basis. So you amend and you act on what you can and to get your business moving forward. The EIR, as is stated, the food administration will, I'm personally thinking I wouldn't put my business subject to an ERA violation, or excuse me, a food administrative violation to shut me down when I'm putting a business together. So I'm going to kind of do my homework prior to that and not put myself in a position that I'm going to spoil my food and things like that. So just wanted to voice those comments.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure that you're right, but I still feel, in all good conscience, we need to have some hard facts, especially regarding the noise and the odors coming from those pieces of equipment. And the EIR, I just think, is a no-brainer. If there's a problem, let's face it head on before anything goes through. I would like to make a motion that we continue this until the applicant can come back with that information.
Would it be to address the noise, odor, and
The noise, and the odor from those two pieces of equipment.
Anything else, Commissioner?
I would like to have some sort of a ruling on the EIR regarding the noise. I just can't imagine that this would be in violation, but I'd feel much more comfortable if we could put this question to rest once and for all regarding this project.
Thank you.
Right, and I have a comment too. As regards to our general plan, our downtown specific plan, we need to maintain consistency. And if we allow the inconsistency to start or fester, then we're going to have a half-built city. So I think we do need to continue this on, because the most important thing is it has to meet our downtown and general specific plan. That's what we put that together for. That's our guidelines. That's our basis. It has to meet those standards, as well as all the other, noise, pollution, and things of that nature. Another thing is that for the administration, was the notices given out with the different changes that were? Did we send those out at the same time, or did we miss something when we sent
Correct. I amended it to show that the applicant was requesting a phasing of a previously approved project.
Okay, so that did go out. Okay,
Yes.
great, okay.
Okay. Commissioners?
Further questions or thoughts?
Okay. No further questions from the questioners? Commissioners?
I don't have any further questions.
Okay, I'll make the motion that this be continued to our next meeting, and that the applicant provide us with the information that we've been discussing.
I second that.
And I guess we'll be specific then in saying that it was the request for the EIR with the noise, the odors,
And having,
and the heavy equipment. And
having the plan meet our general plan requirements. They'll get it right.
okay, so we've got a second then. So roll call vote, please. Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
and Commissioner Villebourgeois.
No.
So the next commission meeting is November 17th.
Okay, so we're moving right along to commission items, item 4.1.
I thought that was you. I was waiting for you to talk. I thought you're the commission. Okay, an update on the drought regulations. As of September 22nd, 2015, the City Council adopted emergency water restrictions in order to help the city meet the required 32% reduction imposed by the state. The revised watering schedule is odd address numbers Monday and Friday, even address numbers Tuesday and Saturday. Do not water any day between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. So it's early or late watering.
Is that just for our town Riverbank, or is it pretty much state mandated from the 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., would you say?
That is for our city.
Our city.
My understanding now, the state is calling for some cities to water one day a week, either Saturday or Sunday. So you may see us moving that direction if we're not meeting that 32%.
How did we come up with the time?
I would have to check with Public Works on that.
Here they probably forget, we'd forget.
Like 9 to 9, you're not gonna meet it.
Moving over to number 5, county referral correspondence information. Anything?
No?
Number 6, upcoming meeting agenda items. Item 6.1, Ward Villas. Item 6.2, Diamond Bar West. 6.3, Diamond Bar West, architectural and site plan review. 6.4, include e-cigarettes in the tobacco ordinance and an ordinance amendment.
Correct. We're still working on the Ward Villas. They've resubmitted additional site plan revised. Staff is still looking at, they have 3 stubbed streets and streets that do not connect. We have some issues with, they only want to put sidewalks on one side of the street. So there's still some things that we're working on, besides the fact that the city is only allowed 4 general plan amendments throughout the year, and we've used 3 already, and we're working on our housing elements. So he may have to wait until 2016 in order for this to come through. Diamond Bar West, staff has been working with both the developer and the engineers, tying up some of the loose ends on their projects, looking at the off-site improvements as well as the on-site improvements, depth of sewer, which way the utility lines are going to run, et cetera. The e-cigarettes, I did work on a draft, but that won't be ready until November meeting. There is another thing I would like to bring up that isn't on the agenda right here, but it was brought up at the last meeting as well, that We are still taking applications for Planning Commission seats. The public may not know this, but there are 3 seats that are up this year. And so we do have information and applications on the website, or you can stop into City Hall to pick those up as well. And we welcome as many people as possible for a wide variety of interests and background and knowledge to apply for these positions. And I'm hoping that you all reapply as well. I think that's it for the moment.
Okay. New business, item 7.1, Crossroads Shopping Center Pad C.
Well, Panda Express, their building permit has been issued. Chipotle and Dickey's Barbecue are ready to be issued. I'm just needing their contractor information. And then the AT&T store is being done at the shell stage. So that's what will be out there.
And I didn't get this listed, but we also have Pad G, and staff did approve the facade for America's Tires.
America's Tire. Where is that, by the Chevron or by Bevmo on that end? Bevmo area? Is there going to be another, for Pad C, another tenant? Is there,
That's it.
1, 2, 3, 4 tenants?
The 5th is,
Oh, wait, there's one more, but they have not applied yet.
Yeah, so it's a 5-unit. Cool.
Anything else? So I just want to mention that Commissioner McKinney and myself attended the workshop with it was a workshop for Stanislaus commissioners, but it also included health this time. And it was pretty extraordinary information that led us to be more mindful and more cognizant of the health benefits of our residents when we are making planning decisions to make sure that they are mingled and commingled. And it was a very interesting and valuable workshop, and I'm very happy that we were both able to attend. It was dramatically informative for us. So I thank you very much for that.
Yeah, we brought a lot of things, you know, of course, we took a lot out of how important health is into the development of the specific plans in our future walkable communities, how things affects the health of our citizens as far as the aesthetics, as far as the scenery, being able to bike and walk and, you know, have a tranquil area and have it pleasing so that mentally they're just as healthy as physically they're healthy, and then we have a healthy city. So it was really eye-opening how health does really have an impact on how a city, you know, is built out.
And my biggest takeaway was the quote that they said that we build for cars and not for people. And that was that really hit home for us both, Commissioner McKinney and myself. So we will definitely be mindful, and we're happy to share that information with you. So without further ado, I'm going to adjourn the Planning Commission meeting. Our next meeting will be November 17th, 2015 at 6 p.m. See you then.
All righty.
Thank you. How's that?
So that was
How's
well.
that roll?